Hello there. My name is Joshua Serbo, and I'm the owner of City Loaves artisanal gluten-free bakery. Today, I'm going to walk you through 3 ways on how I can turn my bakery into a more environmentally conscious and ecologically neutral bakery. But first, let me finish off this delivery. So a lot of you may be wondering, well, what is Windy City Loaves? We are Chicagoland's first ever artisanal gluten-free bakery specializing in delivering only the best handmade gluten-free breads every single Saturday morning. I know what you're thinking, right? I mean, who's this guy here saying that he's going to be turning his gluten-free bakery into some sort of ecological masterpiece? And well, that's the long goal. Bakeries have been developing over the past 1,000 years, so everything's been an ongoing process. What I'll tell you now is my plan, at least, on how I'm going to be turning my bakery into as green and ecologically neutral of a production process as possible. That comes down to 3 main fundamental points. The first point comes down to production. Baking takes water, and water is an essential resource for all life and all of mankind. So finding a way to use water more efficiently and recapturing water that would be otherwise wasted is a very, very important thing, especially in making a very ecologically neutral baking operation. Second is going to be packaging, right? A lot of baking uses plastic bags and all of these non-biodegradable packaging solutions, which really damage the environment if they, God forbid, ever get into any of the major water supplies, and plants and animals, they could start suffering because of all of these non-biodegradable waste. So focusing on better green packaging. And finally, focusing on transportation. So how are we going to be getting the bread from, in my case, my commercial kitchen facility to the end user? And I'll go through each one of those processes and plans right now. So the first problem that we're going to be tackling is water. Now, it's funny because gluten-free bread actually requires some of the most water that you'll ever need in any sort of baked product, right? And why is this? Imagine this. If you're building a house and you're putting in your normal 2x4s, your normal piece of wood, all of the normal supporting features of your house, well, try to build that house, but without using any supports. The thing is gluten is the building blocks of all of the major bonds and molecules that happen when you're baking bread. So once you take it out of the equation, a lot of weird things start to happen. Bread becomes really dry, it sags, doesn't rise correctly, so you gotta find ways to counteract all of this. One of the ways gluten-free bread does it is it uses a lot of water. One of the issues with this is if you use too much water, then you're just going to end up wasting a lot of purified water. So what can you do in order to make this process more efficient and capture as much water as possible? Well, when it comes to water, water is lost in 2 major areas when it comes to the actual baking process. First, it comes to the actual rising. When the bread is going to be in the proofer, the problem is in this process is when a lot of the water that you're going to be putting in the actual dough is going to be evaporating out. So you got to figure out a way to recapture that. And the other time is going to be leaving the bread is in the actual baking, right? Because you're going to have a lot of the humidity and wetness from the dough evaporating just because of heat, right? The topic of how we're going to be recapturing all of this water, it really is simple when it comes to fundamental practice. All you gotta do is find a way to capture all of the humidity which is being let off by all of these proofers and ovens, funneling all of this water into some sort of basin tank and then repumping it into the facility. That way it can either be used as assisted sewage draining fluid, so if you have a grease trap that you're trying to flush out, you can pour this water into there without having to use purified treated water or using it for other janitorial processes, because the fact is this water that's just being evaporated out through the ovens and everything is just gonna go out in the air. When it comes to packaging, that's a different story. My bakery right now, the way that we deliver things, We deliver them in your standard plastic wrapped bags, and we have the little twist ties and everything. And that's really the way that a lot of bakeries package their products, just because it's simple, cost effective. One of these bags costs less than 3 cents to buy, and it's very scalable. The issue with this, though, is they're not biodegradable, and that way they're going to be staying out into the environment for, tens if not dozens of years at that point. One of the things that I can do as my bakery, and one of my goals actually for the future, is to go away from these plastic bag solutions and instead move towards cardboard boxes as a means of moving towards a nicer packaging, as well as a more environmentally friendly and eco-conscious one at the same time. And the last point comes down to transportation. My transportation for my bakery is this old guy right here. He burns a lot of gas. On average, it gets around 25 mpg. Almost 392 million gallons of gasoline are burned in the United States every single day, just on commercial delivery solutions. If turning even half for all of these bakeries into all-electric fleets, that could decrease the US consumption of gasoline by the same amount. So theoretically speaking, if my bakery and all other bakeries change to electric powertrains for their cars, like the one I'm driving right now, we could be talking about a decrease in the overall consumption and burning of gasoline fuels by almost 10% in the entire commercial delivery business. And that's huge. And those are our 3 points on how we can turn Windy City Loaves into a more environmentally friendly and eco-conscious bakery. Now, if you excuse me, I got one more delivery to fill.